Hello everyone, welcome back to The Great Ace Attorney Chronicles. Last time, a few things happened. We started the second half, I don't know, not the second, the second trial, I guess you could say. Whatever, anyways. We started the second trial, and, we started cross-examining Enoch Drebber's testimony, and right as we got him on the ropes, we get thrown a curveball on 2 counts. The first count is that, everyone was viewing the experiment at the time, so Drebber would have had no opportunity to take out Asman. And even with the crossbow, the forensics test they did proves that the victim and his supposed doppelganger are the same person, meaning there was no doppelganger to begin with. So that rules that out. And even if that were true, Drebber wouldn't have wanted to kill Asman as per their contract, namely that Drebber received 30% of all profits from said experiment, if and only if both Asman and Drebber are alive. So, yeah, I wouldn't think Drebber would want him dead. So, I think that's where we are now. Yeah, okay. So, I guess let's keep going. Yes. Okay. Everything set up? Alright. It's true. If Drebber had no opportunity to switch the birdcage under the stage with the one in the Crystal Tower, he couldn't have done it. And, in any case, I have no idea what his motive might have been. There is one aspect of your argument that still holds true, however. There were 2 birdcages. The prosecution is unable to deny that. Ah. So I'm sure you're on the right lines, Mr. Naruhodo. And I have no doubt there are other aspects of your assertion that are undeniable truths too. Huh.
Well, it would seem that the defense has no rejoinder to offer.
Well, I must say I'm a little surprised. I came here to testify about the machine I built, and instead my reputation is defiled. But the prosecution's counter has set the record straight, I think. It's impossible that I'm the culprit.
Objection!
At the beginning of this trial, we believed that there was only 1 birdcage. Yet now we know there must have been 2. In other words, there was more to this demonstration than we realized at first. I think it's abundantly clear that the same applies to the culprit.
Get to the point.
Yeah, see, I'm recording at like 9:30 right now. Already, you can see I have a lot more energy than before, so I think that's what I might do from now on. Instead of, just for you guys, instead of recording like at like 10 or so, probably do it earlier. The stage demonstration was constructed and set up in its entirety by you, Mr. Drebber. Therefore, it's inconceivable that you had no hand in the events that transpired. So, if circumstances mean it's impossible that you could have carried out the crime yourself, it points to the fact that someone else was involved.
Someone else? Counsel, are you suggesting...
Yes, my lord. Mr. Drebber had an accomplice.
Objection!
An accomplice now? Well then, I presume you're prepared for what's to come? Now that you're accusing not only this witness but someone else of the most serious of crimes. If these accusations turn out to be false, then make no mistake. The prosecution will demand an equally serious punishment for your slander.
Well, counsel, do you intend to pursue this course and formally accuse another party of involvement in this matter?
What do I do here? At the moment, this is a little more than a hunch on my part. I don't know for sure if Mr. Drebber had an accomplice, or even if he really is the culprit here. One way or another, though, I ought to make my position clear, as a lawyer. So, what's my stance gonna be? Did Drebber have an accomplice, or not? Well, thinking about it logically, he had to have, because there were 2 bird cages. Yeah, there were 2 bird cages. Okay, well, actually, no, think about it this way. We know instantaneous kinesis is not possible, from what literally, Sholmes and Iris said. So, for that to be true, then Asman could not have teleported, for lack of a better term. Well, that's probably the right term now that I think about it. He could not have teleported, so there had to have been 2 people. Which means there were 2 bird cages, which means there was an accomplice, because the defense is ready to name Mr. Drebber's accomplice. Somehow, the 2 bird cages must have been switched. Everything points to that. Yet according to the coroner's report, that's not a possibility. But that inconsistency itself is a clue.
Counsel,
My lord.
you have received a stock warning already. If you are nevertheless determined, then I must now ask you to identify this alleged accomplice by name. So, your answer, please. Who do you claim to have been Mr. Drebber's accomplice?
Well, it's obvious. Well, okay, I'm not gonna say it's obvious. It was a bit hard to get the first time around. Well, think of it this way. Because what Sholmes and Iris said has to be true, there had to have been 2 bird cages. Which means 2 bird cages means there had to have been 2 people, meaning the person that said it was just 1 person is lying.
Take that!
The name of the person in question is... What's wrong, my Nipponese friend? Surely fear doesn't bind your tongue now. It's a little late for that. Of course I'm afraid. After all, naming her in this capacity is definitely going to make waves. A lot of waves. I could very well turn every single person in this courtroom against me. I'm sure it will be alright, Mr. Naruhodo. Thank you, Mrs. Sato. The enemy always appears larger than life, but you'll appear exactly the same to the enemy. Alright then, here goes. You've kept us waiting long enough. Your answer, counsel, now. The person who colluded with Mr. Drebber in order to carry out this wicked crime is Scotland Yard's coroner, Dr. Courtney Seethay.
What the blazes are you talking about? Dr. Seethay?
The head of the forensic investigation team? And the coroner who conducted the autopsy on the victim? We know there were 2 bird cages, so who could have carried out the switch to complete the illusion? The accident happened in front of a huge crowd of spectators, and the area was immediately sealed off. Then, everyone, police officers included, were banished to make way for the forensic investigation team. When else could the switch have occurred? It can only have been in that team's presence. It's essential that the court determines exactly what happened following the incident. The defense demands that Dr. Seethay be summoned to the witness stand at once to testify.
You've got a nerve, lad! Standing up there, dragging the Yard's name through the mud?
I didn't mean to...
I know the woman very well. There's no better dead room worker out there. How dare you call her a criminal?
My learned friend's imagination appears to be wilder than the East End at night. But, the recklessness of your accusation aside, there's another grave problem with your argument. one which the prosecution demands you address at once. A grave problem?
Oh my word.
Who do you claim acted as the victim's doppelganger? What?
Certainly, if the birdcage containing the body of the victim was exchanged for another, that cage must have also contained a body.
And yet, no missing persons or accidental deaths of anyone even remotely resembling the victim have been reported. Which means there was no one, dead or alive, who could have fulfilled the role of a body double for Mr. Asman. That's true. If my argument is that there were 2 bird cages, then there must have been one person inside each. But I don't know if I've got an answer to this yet, have I? What can I do to reveal how this body double stunt was achieved? Well, there is one answer. There's no one to name because we don't know anyone, and there certainly isn't nothing. Our best option now is to present evidence. Very well. The defense will address my learned friend's concerns by presenting evidence that reveals the true nature of Mr. Asman's body double.
God gracious! Evidence? I do hope this isn't filibustering, counsel. The court is expecting a name.
If you think you have relevant evidence, present it now. The body double and the birdcage were hiding inside the balloon that was floating above the stage, which means that any witnesses would have only seen them from 60 feet away. So, who was it that appeared out of that explosion some 18 meters above the spectators? Ah! The body double inside the second birdcage was, and hear me out here, as Ryunosuke said, the body double was 60 feet away, so no one could get a clear view of him. The first. The second thing to note is that everyone was taken out of the stage, so no one actually got a good look onto him except for the forensics team, meaning whoever it was, the switch could have been performed. And there's one more contention. As you recall, the waxwork head was found inside of Drebber's workshop, namely saying that he's the thief. But if that's the case, we gotta find the motive for that. Sorry. As I was saying, we have to find the motive for that. Why did Drebber steal the waxwork? Well, what if he stole the waxwork to use as the doppelganger? And like a few days after the crime was performed, it was put back, which is what happened. I think, yeah, like a day, the day after the crime was actually done, it was found back at Madame Tussbell's without the head. So,
Take that!
it'd have to be the waxwork. We know that the victim, Mr. Asman, was in the birdcage that was situated inside the kinesis machine on stage, and therefore he couldn't have been inside the second birdcage. Instead, that contained something else. What's been described as a body double, which was what fell from the sky and crashed into the Crystal Tower.
Yes, counsel, according to your somewhat elaborate version of events.
And that body double inside the birdcage was in fact... It's alright, Mr. Naruhodo. You're ready for this. Just steel yourself and come out with it. Thank you, Mrs. Sato. I needed that. As I was saying, the body double inside the second birdcage was, as unbelievable as it may seem, that thing there.
Objection!
Open your eyes and look into mine, my Nipponese friend. Now, tell me, what are you playing at? Stand firm now, Ryunosuke. This is the time to show your Japanese spirit. As the court will observe, this is a waxwork model. A model, in fact, of an infamous London murderer from 10 years ago, the Professor.
Objection!
You started by indicting the leader of the forensic investigation team as an accomplice in this crime. And now you've moved on to indicting waxworks? Yes, that's about the size of it. But why? And why this waxwork? It looks nothing like the victim. In fact, it could hardly resemble him less. What possible justification can you give? If you want to know why, ask Mr. Drebber. What? Just days before Professor Harebrain performed his public demonstration, Mr. Drebber abducted this model from Madame Tuspel's.
Did you say abducted?
And 2 days after the incident at the Grand Exhibition, he returned it to the museum. Then, the timing.
Is this true, Mr. Drebber?
At first, I couldn't see why Mr. Drebber would have stolen the waxwork and then given it back again. But now, the reason is clear. He took it so that he could put it inside the second birdcage, as a body double for Mr. Asman.
God.
Objection!
Are you hearing this, ladies and gentlemen of the jury? Are you hearing the defense's astonishing proposal? That the witness fabricated this vast machine with the intention of deceiving some wretched scientist. That he did so in collusion with the country's finest coroner on a public stage in front of a vast audience. And that, to effect the deception, he used a waxwork model that in no way resembles the victim. Are we really to believe this far-fetched tale? What do you decide?
Objection!
Wait! Yes, if you put it like that, of course it sounds implausible.
My lord, I need to speak if you please. Go ahead, Mr. Foreman. Myself and my colleagues...
Oh, that's not his voice. He's that deeper voice now that I think about it.
Myself and my colleagues have reached an agreement. Very good. In that case, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, you will state your leanings for the court to hear now.
Guilty!
Guilty.
Guilty! Guilty!
Guilty!
Kill me!
Yeah?
So, as indicted by the foreman, the jury has reached a consensus.
I knew that was gonna happen. We shall get through this, Mr. Naruhodo, as we always do. And uncover some new truths along the way, I'm quite sure. Yes, I agree. I'm gonna have to do appeals to the jurors as usual, and see if I can persuade them to change their minds.
The defense will now embark on a summation examination. Are you and your fellows ready to proceed, Mr. Foreman?
We are, my lord.
Very well. In that case, I actually now to state clearly for all present to hear the grounds upon which each of you decided that the defendant is guilty of the crime of which he is charged.
Alright. Let's see what kind of quote-unquote reasoning they have.
I've known that woman for years. She'd never be an accomplice to anything.
It's utter nonsense to think that those two would ever be conniving with each other. Oh dear. This is most troubling. But surely the waxwork the man stole has nothing to do with the coroner, is it? Oh, I've had my own problems with members of the police. I do not trust them much.
I've seen no rigorous proof that this waxwork was ever inside the birdcage. It's conjecture.
Accusing someone without the right evidences? It's not a proper job, is he? I won't have it.
Yeah, I hope that's her voice, 'cause that's what it's gonna be.
Somewhat unsurprisingly, it seems the introduction of this waxwork model to the proceedings has polarized opinion.
Given that its face is obscured and its build is very resembles that in no way resembles that of the victim. I said very, wow. I can only applaud my learned friend's temerity at suggesting it as Mr. Asman's body double. Yes, the applause is deafening, and yes, I know it seems extraordinary. But that's the point. That's why I have a strong feeling it's actually a greater clue than anyone yet realizes. What are you thinking, Mr. Naruhodo? I can't explain why at the moment, but I feel as though there's a specific reason why it was used. Why it had to be this model. Really? A reason why nothing else would do, you mean? Yes, and I'm convinced it's something far more significant than whether or not the model looked like the victim. Well, if that's the case, we must prevent the trial from ending prematurely at all costs. Yes, agreed. I have to find a way out of this.
If you're ready, counsel, you may proceed with the cross-summation examination.
Yes, my lord. Alright. Okay, let's see. What can we even press on? Maybe this one. My own problems. Okay. Okay. Let me go with this guy's one. Okay, this does seem a bit... What sort of problems? Let's just say we have run into each other on numerous occasions while I've been performing on the street. Right, I see. Obviously, artists such as myself cannot appear on stage as we work in close proximity to our audiences. So we perform our great magic in parks, on street corners and the like. But the police use any excuse to make our lives difficult. Oh?
Excuse me.
Do you have something to say in response to that, Mr. Otter Mole?
Who are you calling a mass murderer?
Ah, sorry, my mistake. I got confused because I heard you look like him.
I don't look anything like the man. You want to be locked up, Sonny?
Thanks, Mr. Sholmes. Perhaps we could move on. I was really wondering if you had something you wanted to add in response to what juror number 3 just said. And clearly you do.
Back in my day, back in the good old days, it wasn't like this.
What was it like, sir?
We worked our fingers to the bone to earn the public's trust, we did. And by Jove, we earned it. People respected us back then.
Respected you?
No one would have called a coroner into question in them days. A coroner's report was the hallmark of an investigation done right. Especially when Dr. Courtney Stevens put her name to it. She was the best of the best, and the apple of the force's eye.
Hold on a minute. What are you talking about? Who's Courtney Stevens?
Sorry, got a bit carried away there.
Stevens was Dr. Seeday's maiden name. Her maiden name? So that was before she was married.
Of course, yes, silly me, it's Sithe now, isn't it?
Stevens. I'm sure I've seen that name somewhere recently.
Anyway, the point is, those were the great old days of policing. Not like now.
Sorry to interrupt, sir. But do you think you could change your statement to include that name?
Well, yes, I don't see why not.
Alright then. Courtney Stevens back when I knew her. A legendary coroner. Alright. What else is there to look at? Oh! Makes it okay. I just got it. Here, number 2 plus number 6.
Objection!
Those two statements clearly contradict each other.
Good gracious! To whose statements do you refer, counsel?
So, juror number 2. Oh gosh, me? What can I do for you? I presume that you heard what juror number 6 said in his statement. It's brought to light that the maiden name of the coroner, Dr. Sithe, which in turn has revealed a connection that wasn't apparent before. Well, naturally, as a woman of society, I find such connections and relationships irresistible. But, oh golly, I'm afraid I fail to see what you mean. Dr. Sithe's maiden name is Stevens, and through that name, the coroner is definitely linked to the waxwork of the killer. The defense has evidence to prove it. My goodness, evidence, you say? How utterly enthralling.
Counsel! The court cannot overlook that last remark. I very much hope there is substance to your claim.
Of course, my lord. I would ask the court to look at this. The evidence that links Dr. Sithe to the mass murderer. The autopsy report that we just got. The person that did the autopsy for that case? Courtney Stevens. Now Sithe, of course.
Take that!
I have here a certain autopsy report from 10 years ago.
A 10-year-old autopsy report? What relevance does that have?
It is, of course, from the autopsy of the person portrayed in the waxwork, the killer known as the Professor.
The professor's... But that man was a capital offender, so...
That's right. This is the certification of death that was drawn up after the convict's execution. The identity of the killer was never made public, so the report gives few details. But what's important is the name of the coroner who wrote it. Courtney Stevens. Oh my. Courtney Stevens?
Strike a light!
It appears that the professor's autopsy was conducted by Dr. Sithe 10 years ago. And a few days ago, Mr. Drebber very deliberately stole the waxwork of the professor from Madame Tuspel's. A waxwork that doesn't in fact resemble the victim, Mr. Asman, at all. And do you suppose there's some unsavory relationship between those events? Absolutely. I'm sure of it. There's no doubt in my mind that the professor's case is at the heart of a link we have yet to uncover between Courtney Sithe and Mr. Enoch Drebber. Hidden links, mysterious connections, secret relationships. This is all most extraordinary. We're surely obliged not to explore this further.
Quite right. We can't let this trial come to an end now. Not while there's this cloud of suspicion hanging over the yard's best coroner. It wasn't like this in my day, but we're still up here to uphold justice in the end.
Alright, that's 2 down. I guess let's look at some more. No proof that the waxwork was ever inside this birdcage. Was there any damages to the headpiece? Or is it just the head? No. What is this? This lock does look very strong, doesn't it? There's definitely no way you can remove the mask yourself if it was put on you. What a terrible way to treat someone, even a convicted criminal. I know. It's starting to make me livid, actually. Mr. Naruhodo, please. I mean, just think about it. Imagine if you had an itch on your cheek all of a sudden. You'd be utterly helpless. I mean, you could still probably put your fingers through the eye holes. Well, yes, that's true. But I'm not sure that warrants quite so much anger. Oh, right. Sorry. Alright.
Hold it!
We got nothing else to look at. But you claimed the whole instantaneous kinesis demonstration was a trick.
How does voice go? That I did, but there's more than one way to pull a rabbit out of a hat, and,
Sorry?
I'll grant you, giving up this cage appeared from a mid-style explosion, there'd have been no need to use a real person. But if a waxwork has been used, the culprit could at least have the decency to make it look like the victim.
I'm not sure exactly how much criminals are governed by decency. The point is, if you're going to make a claim about that waxwork being inside the birdcage, you need to give us some evidence. Without that, it's just not science. I suppose we should expect nothing less than a logical argument from a member of the Royal Society. But that perhaps means his mind could be changed if we manage to present suitable evidence. Evidence that the waxwork was inside that birdcage. Can I produce that? Yes, we can. Actually, I have something I'd like you to see, sir. Oh? I must warn you that I firmly believe it's only wise to trust men in white coats. So given your jet black outfit, I don't mind admitting to a sense of trepidation here. Yeah? You want to talk to me about wearing black jackets? So you don't trust anyone in black? Looking in the mirror must be very trying. I do have some evidence that proves it. Namely, the piece of glass. It was in the clothing of the waxwork. Meaning, the waxwork was the thing that crashed into the crystal tower.
Take that!
what's that? A piece of glass? Though it's unusually thick for glass.
Yes, there's a piece of broken glass that we found inside the jacket of the waxwork. As you say, it's not ordinary glass though. It's very thick and clearly made for extra strength. Much like the special glass that was developed for the construction of the Crystal Tower. The Crystal Tower. Holy smoke! Exactly. The centerpiece of the Great Exhibition, where the very incident we're talking about took place. On the day in question, the birdcage fell from above and smashed through a window of that special glass. From whence this small piece originated. Is that it? Precisely. So, what do you say? Now that clear evidence in support of the assertion has been placed before you.
Well, as I said, I only trust men in white coats as a rule. However, when the reasoning is sound, it's fair to say that color shouldn't come into it. In light of what you've shown me here, yes, I feel obligated to change my position on the matter. In that case, juror number 4, you will amend your statement now, please.
Alright. Let's connect with this girl, because we have evidence now. Now, those two statements clearly contradict each other.
Good gracious! 2 statements do you refer, counsel?
If you could put down your coin for a moment, juror number 5.
Oh, you mean me?
You've pointed out that it's wrong to make an accusation without evidence. But the accusation that the waxwork model is inside the second birdcage on the day in question is not without supporting evidence, as the defense demonstrated to the juror sitting beside you.
Oh, is that right?
Would it be fair to say you didn't follow the argument?
I don't understand much besides Colonel Cobb, to be honest.
Of course you don't.
If I could interject here.
Please do, sir.
Now that this assertion of yours about the waxwork has been backed up by some solid evidence, it would be wrong of me as a matter of science not to pursue the matter further.
Well, me too then.
Sorry?
If this pretty gentleman says he's right, then he must be. See, I wouldn't dream of going against Colonel Cobb or anyone who's got the stuff in between the ears.
Alrighty then. Let's just take what we can get. Success! If you can call it that.
Thank you, Counsel. That will do. As a result of the summation examination, the jury's overall leaning has changed. 2 jurors now call guilty, against 4 who call not guilty. Accordingly, the court has failed to reach a consensus at this time, and the trial must continue.
We did it.
Oh,
Oh, well done, Mr. Naruto. Another wonderful victory. All right.
A waxwork of the despicable professor, used as a body double for the victim in this quite extraordinary case. I must say, it's extremely hard to believe that the assertion could possibly be true. However, it would appear that it does at least warrant further investigation.
It's the waxwork of the professor that links Mr. Drebber and Dr. Sithe. And I'm convinced that there's a special significance to that link.
I don't know what you're hoping to prove, lad. I really don't.
The truth, sir. By using evidence and testimony. If the court should delve deeper into the alleged involvement of the waxwork in this case, then the prosecution calls for the owner of the model to be summoned as a witness.
The owner?
Madame Tuspels. I really thought that Lord Van Zeke would object to this whole line of inquiry.
Very well, I concur. Make arrangements for Madame Tuspels to appear as a witness with immediate effect.
Listen carefully, my learned friend. Oh, yes? You should know that you're on the brink of opening Pandora's box.
The court shall now adjourn for 45 minutes. During that time, the prosecution will summon the new witness and prepare for her for taking the stand.
Madame Tuspels, yes. I shall see to it at once, my lord. To be continued. Let's see. Okay, alright, I guess we can go just a little more. Alright, okay, so we can go for like 10, 15 more minutes up till, I guess, the next testimony. So, I guess that's what we'll do. 9, here. Alright. 24th of October, 11:53 a.m. The Old Bailey, Defendant's Antechamber. Ah, the Knight Errant himself. Oh, have you been watching from the gallery, Mr. Sholmes? I've been on the edge of my seat the entire time. Courtroom trials are fascinating affairs, as a spectator at least. I'm glad you've been enjoying yourself.
I have to ask. What on earth is going on? It makes no sense. What's this professor business all about? He doesn't look like any professor I've ever met before. Who is he? Who even is he?
Ah, of course. You were in Germany already 10 years ago. Yes, the professor. When I discovered he was the one who had been abducted, a sense of foreboding stirred within me. But who knew the monster would come knocking at your door? My heartfelt sympathies. As it turns out, Lord Van Zeke is even more intimately tied to this case than any of us realized, isn't he? Yes, how true. His great friend from university in the dock. And now, a waxwork of the killer who took his esteemed brother's life makes an appearance too. I imagine even the shrewd Mr. Reaper failed to foresee that kick in the teeth. An extraordinary move on your part, my dear fellow, to throw that in front of the man. You make it sound deliberate. I can't help feeling that this professor case is really very puzzling. Oh yes? In what particular manner? Well, there's Mr. Drebber, Dr. Seethe, and Lord Van Zieks. It seems that everyone in the trial has a link to the case somehow.
Yes. In fact, I alone am not a member of the set. Though that leaves me as an empty set, all alone with no intersection to any other.
Who says that? Oh!
Dr. Seethe!
Dr. Courtney Seethe, nay, Stevens. Good day to you. Hello, Sholmes. That was very shrewd of you. What in particular, pray? You requested that 10-year-old autopsy report from Gregson, didn't you? Why would you assume such a thing? Because Gregson told me. To think it's been 10 years. 10 years in the laboratory, wielding my scalpel. I smell of nothing but corpses and disinfectant. A policeman on the jury and had a lot to say about you as it happens, Dr. Seethe. And I've accused you of being complicit in what happened. I'm hoping you'll take the stand and tell the truth about what really happened. That certainly won't be possible. Lord Van Zieks won't be summoning me as a witness. Lord Strongheart has forbidden it. Lord Strongheart? The Pandora's box you were warned about is the Professor case. But please don't make the mistake of thinking you'll get any information out of me. But attempting to hide that from the truth, that's cowardice. I've already fought crime in the way that I see fit. I have no regrets. None at all. And that's all I came here to say. So, a good day to you. She mentioned it too. This Pandora's box. Whatever does it all mean? There's really no cause for concern, I assure you, when the trial resumes. The meaning will become all too apparent, whether you'd like it to or not. Huh? Now then, I believe it's almost time. I must make my way back to the public gallery. The edge of my seat awaits. I think maybe you're enjoying yourself a little too much. Ah, yes, one word of warning before I go. If, in the course of this trial this afternoon, you perceive even a shadow of doubt about the truth, don't let it out of your sight. Pursue it like a dog with a bone. Yeah, Sholmes? Yeah? Sorry, just... that line actually stands out to me now that knowing what happens. Alright. Anyways. Actually, no, I'll leave that in recording because it's not... I don't think it's all that spoilery, to be honest with you. To the better end, you understand? Do not falter, whatever may come to pass. Alright, I understand. Thank you. Good. I shall make myself scarce then. I purchased a bar of caramel earlier, so I shall be gnawing on that as you gnaw away at the truth. What did that warning from Mr. Sholmes really mean, I wonder? Especially the bit about whatever may come to pass. Huh. Well, it's time for the final chapter then. I'm determined to find the truth, no matter what. Alright, so, I think this is a good spot to end things off. It's right before the trial essentially resumes, so yeah. Okay. My apologies if I'm like a lot more high energy than before. It's literally because it's like I'm recording an hour earlier than I normally do, at like 9:30 instead of like 10 o'clock, so I am a lot more high energy, as you may have noticed. So yeah, I'll have to change my schedule a bit, but, well, seeing as though I'm actually able to do stuff now, sure. Anyways, so, next time, if I remember correct, next time we're gonna hear from Madame Tussbell, it seems, because that's who Van Zieks went after, so, yeah. I guess with that being said, thank you all for watching, let me say it one more time, and I will see you all in the next video.